They're tired of putting these hearings on every 6 months, every time one of these crypto company blows up and goes to zero. They're so unregulated. These unregulated exchanges are just they're all going to go to zero. And what's going to come out of it eventually is going to be a regulated crypto market, which I think will be very interesting because there's real merit. I mean, crypto itself is not the bad guy. Crypto is just software code. It's not the software code. It's all of these rogue players and these unregulated exchanges and the issuance of all these meritless tokens, the token on the exchange, all of this crap, if I excuse my French, It's all going to go away. It's all going to go away. I'm not worried, but if you're asking me, will there be another meltdown to zero? Absolutely, 100% it'll happen. And it'll keep happening over and over and over.
Kevin O'Leary is finally back after the FTX scandal. Investor and venture capitalist, the co-host of the Shark reality show, is making crazy predictions about what will happen to crypto and other crypto exchanges like Binance from CZ. And it won't be pretty, according to Kevin. So pay close attention to today's video, as this may be like a crystal ball to more despair coming soon. First, what's Kevin's current portfolio?
I've still kept the ratio of 30% fixed income and debt to 70% equity because I find equity is still more attractive. The way I look at equity now for the balance of this year, anybody that forecasts past a year, I mean, I don't know how you can do that, but right now I'm assuming the Fed is going to slow down a little bit and probably not pass the 5% terminal rate. And while they wait and see what happens to the economy. So most companies are starting to really cut costs any way they can. But there's been so much productivity with technology over the last 3 years that they've been doing a very good job of that. So you're going to see some earning revisions at some point. I don't anticipate any expansion to PE because we're still sitting at a 17 PE. So I don't think that's going to go up. So I'm looking for companies that A, are cash flow positive, B, do distributions of profits. So in other words, they take the cash and they distribute it through dividends. Some of them will do share buybacks, but not now that's being taxed. I think the dividend is going to be more popular. And so you have to be doing that without taking on debt. So if you have a clean balance sheet, not too much debt, and you're distributing profits, well, that's a good place to invest because you can probably make 5%, maybe 6% on capital appreciation in the next year, and maybe 1.5 to 2% in dividend yield. So I look at healthcare sector, very interesting. I like commodities. I like gold right now. I've pulled my horns in a little bit on tech because those are still trading at over 20 PEs, which is expensive, and those stocks have already had massive corrections. Media stocks are really interesting. They're fibrillating right now because of all the streaming losses. Disney is under scrutiny now. I own that name. Nelson Phelps has said he wants to be an activist. That's probably good for the stock. And so you've got to find these situations. So underweighting tech, not overweighting energy. I think energy's had a fantastic run, but I think you want to take a little bit off the table there. It's been a very, very good place to be last year. I don't think you'll get the same kind of returns this year. Finding those large cap names in the S&P that have strong balance sheets across multi-sectors that pay distributions, that's the play for 2023.
And how's he looking at crypto right now?
I have been going back into the crypto markets lately. Anytime Bitcoin drops below 17,000, I add to our positions there. Crypto is getting very interesting because we're finally starting to see the bear of regulation coming into play. And I think long-term, that's a good thing. These hearings in the Senate have really poked the bear, as I like to say. And I participated in the last hearings. And when I had a chance to talk to the people on the Hill, or the lawmakers, I sensed that they're frustrated now. They're tired of putting these hearings on every 6 months, every time one of these crypto company blows up and goes to zero. They're so unregulated. These unregulated exchanges are just they're all going to go to zero. And what's going to come out of it eventually is going to be a regulated crypto market, which I think will be very interesting because there's real merit. I mean, crypto itself is not the bad guy. Crypto is just software code. It's not the software code. It's all of these rogue players and these unregulated exchanges and the issuance of all these meritless tokens, the token on the exchange, all of this crap, if I excuse my French, it's all going to go away. It's all going to go away. The problem is, let me give you an example. Let's talk about tokens based on, we don't even have to mention what exchange, but all the large exchanges, the unregulated global exchanges, incentivize account holders and users to buy their tokens to get discounts on trading fees. It's not new. It's been going on for years. And then they put them on their balance sheet at a ridiculous valuation. And if you look at actually who owns these things, 97% of them are owned by the issuer. You don't know who that person is because it's simply a wallet without a name on it. And the other 3% are valuing it at 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 billion dollars. Now, if there's a cash run, a cash call back to fiat, back to US dollars on $100 billion, you know that exchange is going to fail. And that's exactly what happened to FTX when a rogue player said, I've got $550 million worth of FTT tokens, and I want cash by noon in 3 hours. Well, of course they don't have 500 million cash. None of them do. And so at the end of the day, this is all something that can just be regulated out of existence. You can't do that if it's a very simple regulation. You can't do that if you're a bank. You can't force people to buy your shares just to open an account. That's ridiculous. Or incentivize them with discounts. That's illegal. All I'm saying is set some rules up, and I think this is going to happen. A passport system is going to be launched by regulators in major markets: US, Canada, Switzerland, United Arab Emirates, South American markets. And they're simply going to say, look, if you want access to the fiat cash in the regulated bank accounts in this geography, in this country, in this market, you have to be compliant to this passport. And they'll all have the same rules. And if you want to operate, because remember, the one thing about Bitcoin is it doesn't trade in any one geography. It trades around the world 24/7. So if you want to trade it on an exchange in Abu Dhabi or up in Canada or in Mexico or down in South America or here in the US, you're going to have to be passported, regulated. And that way, if you go offside in any market, they'll just pull all your licenses. And then you no longer have access to getting cash in and out of banks. That's how I think they're going to do it. I'm speculating when I say it, but I think you're going to hear more hearings in the Senate and more of this reining in the cowboy rogue nature of what this has become. It's got to end. People are tired of losing all their money. And frankly, I think regulation doesn't have to be, it's not going to change fraud. It's just going to make it much easier for people to understand what the rules are and get rid of the rogue players.
But wait, there is bad news coming in a few minutes. Kevin O'Leary has been talking to many regulators and law enforcers for a while, but the popular opinion is that especially the US ones don't even understand how blockchain technology works. How can they even regulate anything?
That was my assumption, and I was wrong. Their staff have become very intelligent.
Okay.
The Justice Department getting far advanced. The SEC, they really understand what's going on. They just haven't had agreement on who the regulators should be. There's a turf war going on and who should actually regulate, but there will be some regulation. There's no question about it. And I think, the Toomey hearings prior to when he retired on Jan 3rd, and now it looks like Haggerty may pick up the baton. They see the merit of digital payment systems and cryptocurrencies, but they want it done in a regulated environment. And I think that will continue, and they'll continue to educate themselves, and the hearings will continue. But I think it's all upside from here. And eventually institutions want to buy this stuff, and they're not buying it yet. For all of the noise about institutions coming in, they own nothing yet. Zero.
And finally, will we have more black swan events like the FTX and Terra Luna?
I'm not worried, but if you're asking me, will there be another meltdown to zero? Absolutely, 100% it'll happen. And it'll keep happening over and over and over again.
You think people will learn their lesson by now? Why would it keep happening?
Well, all of these exchanges, all of them, all the unregulated exchanges are having massive outflows right now. The smart money has got the joke. They saw what happened at FTX. They're not sitting around for an explanation. And if you're not willing to be audited, and I'm speaking about any exchange, if you don't have an auditor, you don't want to be transparent, you don't want to disclose ownership, why should institutional capital stay there? Of course it's not going to. And frankly, it's very hard to find an auditor that wants to touch this stuff right now because of an unregulated cowboy environment. It's all going to end. And yes, there'll be many more zeros. The only place I have any crypto right now is up in the Canadian market, which is 100% regulated. They have a broker dealer attached to an exchange regulated by the OSC, all kinds of rules. You can't commingle. It's called BitBuy, and I've got my money there. It's owned by WonderFi, a public company. I have lots of capital tied up in there. It's the only place. I'm not putting it in an unregulated exchange anywhere. Forget it. Never again. And they get audited up there. And so, frankly, if you're sitting around trying to get me to buy a token from an exchange to get discounts on trading, that stuff's garbage.
What do you think? Is Kevin right about more exchanges dying soon? Can Binance be one of them? Or is this hypocrisy from someone who made money from the collapse and got paid to promote a scam? Let us know your thoughts below, and if you want more daily crypto, leave a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.